one more day in our Bible, chapter 8, 9, and 10, Leviticus. What a beautiful story. We see on chapter 8 how Aaron and his sons get ready, get ordained to perform the role that God has called them into. And I love how it says on verse 30 that in this way, in the ordination way, he made Aaron and his sons and their garments holy. That means set apart. They have been called to do something specific, and God has entrusted them with that. And with that, on chapter 9, we see how they go and perform the calling, how they offer all the sacrifice. And there's a very specific way in which that happens, right? And God has entrusted them, and he's inviting us to trust him, but also to obey. And when we do what God has called us to do, oh man, his glory will be manifest. We see that on chapter 9 as once the sacrifice were presented, God's glory filled that place. And his presence was like overwhelming, right? And the people were blessed and they were in awe and wonder of how God responded. And so they bowed down, right? But here's a warning. On chapter 10, we read what happens when we don't obey, right? When we do things the way we want to do it, when we're not careful, when we don't take God seriously, right? It says that two of Aaron's sons, they brought the offerings, they burned the sacrifices, but they didn't follow God's instructions. And the consequences were devastating. They lost their lives in the process. And that is sad. And that just comes because they were not careful. They didn't treat God's holiness as such. They treat it as common, and they think like, well, we can do it a different way. No, we can't. God invites us into his presence. God invites us to participate in what he is doing. But there is a proper way. And so what a humbling experience for us to know that every Sunday we have an opportunity to approach him and to worship him. But let us not lose that sense of awe and wonder and this admiration of like, this is a holy God. So let us worship properly.